Sounds good. And do you want to talk more about how to get a portfolio loan? Because I understand, after you refinance and if you don't have too many loans, you just get a conventional loan or whatever. But if you have over 10 properties, you can't just get that conventional loan that they sell to Fannie Mae. How do you get a portfolio loan and what are the usual rates for those?
Sure. So a portfolio loan it's a little different. I mean, you're right. You can't get more than 10 loans if you're financing it in your own name. I no longer finance anything in my own name. I actually don't own any property in my name. My primary residence is not in my own name. It's actually in my wife's name. And the reason I do is I keep myself kind of free and clear. But all of my property are now held in LLCs. So a limited liability company. It's 123 Main Street LLC. Willie Mandrell owns 123 Main Street LLC, and the LLC owns the particular 123 Main Street, the actual property itself. So if you're looking at a portfolio lender or your local lender, they typically don't have the same restrictions as your residential financing, right? I can get as many properties of millions of dollars in loans right now on several different properties. And your requirements are a little different. When you're looking at residential property, it's more about your debt, your personal income, and your personal finances. Versus when you're looking at a portfolio lender, they're more concerned about the property's performance itself. They're basically saying, what rents are you going to get from this property? What expenses are going to come from this building, and what is the end result? And if the end result is solid, they do look at you personally as a personal guarantor on the first couple of deals. You do have to have somewhat of a resume. And if you don't have a resume, the way I got started, the way a lot of other investors, the way I help people get started as well, is I allow them to piggyback on my resume. So you go and find another investor, you have a great deal, you're not sure how to get the financing, you want to use a portfolio lender. Sometimes you have to, the same way my mother co-signed for me on that first deal, you have to find another investor to co-sign or be a key partner or a key player or key piece. I can't remember I know the term is KP. I can't remember what the key partner on that loan to help you qualify for that particular deal. And hopefully that makes sense. I know I went around in circles there, but.
Absolutely. And I mean, are you in like Wells Fargo for this kind of loan, or what kind of banks offer portfolio
No,
loans?
no, I try to stay away from the big national banks. I want somebody who's local. And again, I wish I had an example of somebody that was in your area, but for us, we have, our local community lenders. Like I live in the city of Quincy. You might use like a Quincy, Quincy Federal or, a Needham Bank or a Wellesley Bank or whatever the local credit union is. And the reason I do that is because there's more of a relationship there. If I go to Wells Fargo or if I use a Quicken Mortgage, they are the big box. It's like going to Walmart, right? They have a lot of things, but none of them are really custom fit, right? I'd rather go to the tailor. You might pay slightly more, but you're going to get the custom fit suit, right? Or the custom fit, whatever it is that's tailored towards you. There's going to be a relationship there. When you go to the big box banks and Bank of America and Citizens Bank and the Wells Fargo, they have maybe 5 or 6, maybe not even that many templates. And they basically say they have somebody in the loan processing and they say, hey, does Willie fit into template number 1, template number 2, template number 3? And if not, they kick the loan back out and they say, Willie's not qualified. Whereas you can have a relationship with a local lender and they say, forget the templates. What is Willie, and is he a good client, and is he's somebody that we want to have a relationship in? And if it is, we have a rough outline, but we can massage it. It doesn't have to be a perfect fit. We can make it work for Willie if Willie is going to be a long-term client of us. And those are relationships that I'd like to build, and I encourage other investors to build. Is Bank of America is great for checking accounts. I have all of my business checking accounts with Bank of America, but I do not use them for mortgages 100%.
So what kind of terms do you usually see in these portfolio loans?
Gotcha. Good question. So a little different than residential lending. Once you cross over into that, that portfolio side, once you're using commercial financing, that's what it is. And let me clarify when I say, sorry if I'm, circling around your question here, but when I say commercial financing, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going out and buying 30-unit buildings. I'm still buying 2, 3, 4-unit buildings in a residential space. I'm just using commercial lending to do that. And you can certainly do that. Commercial lending doesn't necessarily mean supermarkets. It means that you're going out and you're buying something with an LLC versus your own name. So where do they differ? You're not going to get a 30-year fixed commercial, note. You're just not. That's not the way commercial lending works. You're probably going to get a 5 to 10 year fixed rate and then it'll be adjustable after that for a period. It'll be a 30-year amortization, meaning you can pay the debt, you can stretch the debt out over 30 years, but the note or the loan itself is only going to be 5 to 10 years, and it helps the bank kind of manage their interest rate risk. The rates tend to be, let's call it a point higher than what your typical residential rates would be. Let's say if today your residential rates, if you're going into an FHA loan, and again, I don't do these on a regular basis, but let's say you're somewhere around 3.5%, you're probably getting somewhere about 4.5% if you're on the commercial lending side. They do have a prepayment penalty. You're not going to see that often on a residential loan, but on a commercial loan that you're buying investment property, you may see a short 3-year prepayment penalty. The lender obviously wants you to stay with them. And there are some other things that you want to look out for. And I advise all my clients this, and I have some family that's getting into this side of the business as well. On the residential side, there are a lot of how do I put this? There are a lot of things that protect you. There's RESPA law. There's a series of laws that where you have to receive the HUD or the settlement statement 3 days prior to actually closing. You have to be able to review it. Those things do not exist on the commercial side. You have to look out for you. You have to make sure that you're looking out for your HUD statement and making sure that there's no errors or cost errors on there. You have to actually request the HUD or the settlement statement prior to, or you won't see it until the day of closing or at the closing table. So you have to understand that the commercial side is a little bit of the Wild West. There are some standards, but each bank is going to be different. There is nothing uniform. They're going to have their own processes, and you have to be really savvy about the business itself. I encourage most people to get started on the residential side, maximize what you can do on that side, and then go to the commercial lending side.